Words.
3 questions left. The guy with the piano says, "Dear Jesse, what are you most excited for about Breath of the Wild DLC? Sincerely, that guy with the piano."
Also, I love that this guy signs off on it. Sincerely. Like, no one comments like that.
So,
good job,
like
guys. I love that.
in the beginning already.
No.
Why don't you start this
it.
one? Yellow. What are your hopes for the Breath of the Wild DLC to come?
You mean for the ones that have been announced or the ones that there's yet to announce?
The second pack is supposed to be
The second one,
coming later
it's
this
announced.
Okay.
So
I haven't been really following it that closely because I knew they're doing like the Heroes Trials. Is that already out?
Yeah, they already did.
Okay.
The only thing they've said about the second pack is that you're going to get another dungeon and more story. The dungeon could be, a lot of people are hoping for a traditional temple style dungeon,
right?
But it could just be more shrines or another divine beast. Like nobody really.
It could be like Cave of Shadows, like they had in Twilight Princess HD, for all we know. No, but that's basically what the Master Trials was already.
That's why it would suck if they just gave us another one.
Another one.
Master Trials too. Well, I think
here's
the best,
50 more rooms.
I think the best question for me to answer is what DLC could possibly make me buy it? Because I've already kind of explained at this point I'm moved on from Breath of the Wild.
What could pull you back in?
What could pull me back in?
Very hard modes.
It's really hard to answer that question. I actually was more intrigued when you were like, "Oh, to have you play as a different character," which that's not going to happen. But if you did have like somehow different abilities, like if they gave you like the ability to like turn into a bird and you could like fly around, I think that would make me at least like come back and try it, because I would like that like new perspective on the world. Or like if you could, or if the new dungeon was something like so completely different, and if it was big enough that it would be worth it to come back and play, like it would have to be at least like 10 hours of content though.
Yeah.
Like the minimum.
Like, with the new dungeon, something really easy that I said a long time ago they could do is they already have Temple of Time. In Twilight Princess, the Temple of Time was like you did something and then the magical staircase opened up and then you went through the window and there was the actual dungeon. So my hope was that maybe in this game you could do the same thing, to where somehow the Temple of Time, just like Twilight Princess, takes you back in time and you get to play through the full dungeon. That's the only thing that would really make sense without wishing for too much, because the Temple of Time is already there and we know it's already a dungeon, so it wouldn't be too much for them to do. But with what you were saying about turning into other characters, whenever they first announced they were working on Breath of the Wild, when they announced it as Zelda Wii U, one of the things Aonuma said about it was he didn't want you to think of it as a single player experience, which could have been full-on multiplayer like Hyrule Warriors, or it could have just been him hinting towards like Miiverse or something, because then you're still communicating with other people, which in a weird way I guess could make it like a multiplayer experience. But to make it really, really, really fast, so I don't take up any of your time, I know Daniel's heard this before, but Wolf Link in Breath of the Wild. Have you played with Wolf Link? You just tap the amiibo, Wolf Link comes up, and you get a side character.
I have 3 amiibo, and none of them are Link related.
Oh no, you should get it. He's a good puppy. Yeah. He helps you.
So
you can give him food. He will eat it.
Okay. Side note. I was really disappointed that you couldn't feed it. Like you couldn't pet any of the dogs.
Oh yeah.
I was like, missed opportunity.
You can feed them.
That was actually.
I want to pet
them. And I was like,
you could pick up a cat in Twilight Princess. Why can't you pet a dog in Breath of the Wild?
It's actually something.
If that's the DLC that I can pet the dogs, then I'm in. No, I don't care how much it costs.
That's what I was saying. Is I've asked so many different people, what DLC do you want for Breath of the Wild? And
they
so
want
many
Nintendo
answers.
Dogs.
Yeah, so many answers have been, I just want to pet the dogs.
I
know. Just let me pet them.
Yeah, but then there's the bears.
They're good boys, Jesse.
There's the bears and the other animals. So it's like,
they're good dogs, Reggie. Let me pet them.
Yeah. So anyways, you tap the Wolf Link amiibo, and Wolf Link comes up, and he acts as your companion. So in my mind, I was thinking the best DLC, or the best way to implement the multiplayer that Aonuma was first talking about that we ended up not getting at all for whatever reason, the best way to implement that is if you could pick up a second controller, like, and the second player could just, like, if you summon Wolf Link, player 2 could pick up a controller, press start, whatever, and then instead of the AI controlling Wolf Link, if they could control Wolf Link. And then I was thinking, if they did that for DLC, what if they, because Wolf Link comes in as like a ghost dog from Twilight Princess, and there's the spirits from Zora, the whatever their names are, the Zora champion, the Goron champion, Gerudo, and everything, in Majora's Mask, because my first thought to that was it would be too complicated to try to figure out and think of all the controls for, like, the Zora, for the Goron. And then I thought, they already did that. They already know how they would control, because they had the Goron you could play as in Majora's Mask. So if they would allow second player, or even if they allowed the first player to play as them, it wouldn't take that much, because we've already seen people modding Breath of the Wild for, like, Goku and Zelda we were talking about earlier. Someone turned the Hinoxes into Shrek and fought them as SpongeBob.
I saw that. Yes.
Yes, they turned the horse into Thomas the Train. So there's like all these mods, and with the controls already figured out, I don't think it would be that hard for them to make it so that you could play potentially as a Goron. Maybe if you play as a Zora, then you finally do get to swim under the water. How awesome would it be to fly over Hyrule and see the mountains as one of the Rito? Roll around Hyrule super fast, take out some of the Guardians as a Goron. So yeah, there's like all of these different things that they could do. Like if they did that and it was, hey, pay $5, you can play as a Goron, almost everybody would do that. So
I would pay $5 to play as a Goron. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, maybe not necessarily playing as Zelda, but just having some new abilities and maybe being able to see the world or interact with the world in a slightly different way, I think would bring a lot of value. I don't know, like you said, how difficult it would be to program that in, but if it was possible, then I'd be on board.
Yeah, alright. Do you have any final thoughts on that before we move to the final two questions, Daniel?
I was just thinking, it doesn't even have to be the old champions. It could be like there's almost a second generation of new champions in Breath of the Wild too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Daruk. It could be what's the name, Yonobo. It doesn't have to be the dead ghost champions. You could have this DLC where what if you recruit all these champions and then they're player characters? Who knows?
That would be really cool if the amiibo that you do that. The new champion amiibo. If you could tap it and then you could.
And then you have this like companion character, and I think I said it like a year ago when I was on the Zelda Informer podcast, but I thought it would be really cool. This was like back, we only had the E3 footage, the game wasn't out, and I was talking about how I loved how the Wolf Link amiibo worked, and I was like, that's one of the best amiibo functions I've seen. What if we, for all the Zelda amiibos, you could just build your little squad of Zelda characters and just start tapping in all these different versions of Link and Sheik and yeah, anyways, it's like you build your little Link Avengers team and storm the Great Plateau. But that's not the case, but I still think it would be cool.
Alright, this next one will be fairly simple before we get to the last question. Master Nugget asks, is Mario set in the universe of Zelda? Now, this makes me think in Ocarina of Time, there are the pictures on the wall of Mario in the castle. And then in Majora's Mask, there's a Mario mask on the Happy Mask Salesman's back.
We have to ask, is Mario Kart canon to the Mario games? Because if it is, then yes, because Link's in Mario Kart 8.
So what's your quick answer to this, Yellow?
Well, I don't think, as much as I love that Mario Kart idea, like, if you're going to bring in Mario Sports, then every Nintendo character is in the same, like, you start bringing in Smash Brothers, then it's just like, they're all together.
It's all one big universe.
Right. Which maybe it is, I don't know. But, I mean, Metroid, they're flying to different planets, so it could be any of these planets.
That's true.
I will say, sure, why not?
Alright.
Link's in Super Mario RPG as an Easter egg as well. So is Samus.
That's true. I love Super Mario RPG. Yes.
There's a Kirby game where Kirby meets Samus as well, right? So all we have to do is start connecting all these dots.
Yeah,
we have a giant shared
totally same world. Like maybe different planets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even in Galaxy, Mario goes planet hopping, right?
Exactly.
So just poor Link, he's trapped in this poor, underdeveloped technological world where he doesn't get to visit all the other Nintendo IPs because he doesn't have
Mario just left some of his merchandise there when he visited in one of the Galaxy games.
No,
oh no.
Peach's castle used to be Hyrule Castle, and when Mario left, they just left all of the furniture, and that's why the pictures are still on the wall.
Sure.
They just painted it for the spires. They're not red anymore.
They're terrible tenants, leaving all their stuff there before they leave, man.
So, before we get to our final question, remember, if you have any questions that you would like to have answered by all of us on our next podcast, you can leave them in the comments below or send them to us on Twitter or on Patreon. And our guests next week, have we decided? Is it Yuri of Wind or Holly Wolf?
I don't know. I think we talked about it, but have these people agreed to guest on it? That's the question.
Oh no, they both agreed. It's just
okay. The one of those guys.
Well, they're trapped now. We already know.
You're stuck in it. It's on the air.
Do you know of Yuri
Holly
of
Wolf
Wind?
sounds familiar.
Okay.
I don't know either of them personally, though.
Okay. Well, Yuri of Wind does like gaming mystery stuff. He talks about canceled and released games. And Holly Wolf, I guess she's best well known for the cosplay and modeling and stuff.
I think that's some people that follow me are big fans of hers also, I think.
All right. She actually, actually both of them, Yuri and Holly's, helped on a lot of videos doing voiceovers. But our final question, remember, if you have any questions for them, comment below, let us know who you would like to see next week. And then leave your questions. And our final question comes from Light Dark Soul, who says, I wonder which, if either, Mario or Zelda, can win Game of the Year. Both are unique in their series, and both have or will sell Switches like no tomorrow. So this is true. Any year, if Breath of the Wild would have came out, it would have won Game of the Year. If Mario Odyssey would have came out, I feel it would have had a great chance at winning Game of the Year. We don't necessarily know how it's going to play out. But what are your thoughts on this, Yellow? Do you think Mario is going to beat Breath of the Wild? Because a lot of places like IGN, GameSpot is like, a lot of people have given Breath of the Wild a 10, and Mario Odyssey is getting 10s. A lot of people said Breath of the Wild's not just their game of the year, but like one of the best games ever. So, do you think Mario's gonna beat it?
I can't imagine liking Mario more than Breath of the Wild. If I like it better, I will be very, very surprised. Whether or not I don't know whether or not everybody else likes it better. I mean, I guess that remains to be seen, but to win my affections as the game of the year of my heart, it will have to do a lot, and I don't think it will be able to accomplish that just because it's not the same type of game. And like I said before, like Breath of the Wild just like is that type of game. That's my type of game. But I mean, anything's possible. I was very surprised that Breath of the Wild was as good as it was, and maybe Mario Odyssey will be the next wonderful surprise from Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, the way that I think about it is like, if any game would beat Breath of the Wild for Game of the Year, I feel like it would be Odyssey. Obviously, the most popular game of the year would go to PUBG, but as like the highest rated game, or the one people actually liked the most. For me to answer that, because I was on another podcast on the Nintendo Guru's channel, and he had a similar question asking me which I thought was going to win, and I had a complicated answer because my favorite game is Zelda. Breath of the Wild came out, and it's one of, if not the best, Zelda game. So as a Zelda fan, if a Mario game came out and I liked it more than one of my favorite games of all time, which happens to be Zelda, and possibly the best Zelda ever, what does that say about me? As a Zelda fan, if I end up liking Mario more than any of the other Zelda games that's ever been released, like, am I then just a Mario fan? Or
I don't think your integrity is at stake.
That's the thing, is like I don't know. From what I've seen of it so far, I would say no. But just like with the trailers and everything they showed of Breath of the Wild, like the full game of Breath of the Wild was like 99% more than what they showed off at E3, because a lot of people complained they showed off too much at E3. But Odyssey could come out and have like 5 or 6 of the best worlds or platforming that we've ever seen from Mario games. It could take everything we love from 64, Odyssey, the Galaxy series, and then it even has the 2D Mario elements where you could like go into the wall. So if you're a fan of 3D Mario or 2D Mario, you have both. So it's like, what are you supposed to do there? It's like they have a chance to make possibly the best Mario game. But yeah, it's
this is a hard one, because like honestly, well, first of all, we're all Zelda fans here. But it's like, I feel like Breath of the Wild has had a bigger, almost like gaming cultural impact, because like it's like way more anticipated, I think, because we spent so many years with like so little information and waiting for it. And it's not that I'm not excited for Mario Odyssey. I'm really stoked, but I definitely don't think I'm as excited for it as I was for Breath of the Wild. Just because Breath of the Wild was this huge departure and this huge I don't even know the word for it. It was enormous, okay? But the hype was so real, and I'm excited for Mario Odyssey. But I'm not losing my mind over it.
Yeah, people who went years and years without playing Nintendo because of the Wii U or the Wii, because of Breath of the Wild, they switched back from PlayStation 4 or whatever. And
switched.
Yeah, they switched back and bought the Nintendo Switch, not for snipper clips, but for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I feel like if you're a Mario fan, like this is your Breath of the Wild for sure. But I just don't think that it's like, I can't imagine being as anticipated for it.
On January 1st.
Yes, they should. Then they got both check 2 Game of the Year. But like, I think it looks great.
Jesse, though, like if I end up liking Mario Odyssey more, then 100% it deserves to win Game of the Year, because I just don't anticipate that would have happening. To be. It would have to just blow my mind. Completely.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. Yeah, because Breath of the Wild, like I said before, I spent over 300 hours on that game, and I played all the DLC, and I bought all the amiibo, and I just I went nuts over this game. I spent years waiting for it. I did hours of research. I made videos, like a dozen videos in anticipation for this game, and I'm looking forward to Mario Odyssey because I do like Mario games, but just I don't see as much hype on the whole sphere of the internet.
Yeah.
I don't see that same level of hype, so I don't feel like it's going to have the same impact.
Breath of the Wild was announced for a console, and then it was delayed like 2 or 3 years. So you had all of that hype and anticipation, because every time it would get close, like Nintendo would be like, oh, we're going to show a new trailer at, Comic-Con in New York. And then it came, and they didn't show it. Now Gnomo was like, oh, well, we had a trailer, but then we ended up changing something in the game the day of Comic-Con, and suddenly that trailer wasn't representative of what the game was going to turn out to be. So it's like, you just keep teasing us and bringing us along.
Yeah.
And with Mario Odyssey, it's like, the year it's shown off, the year it's announced, it's coming out that same year, which is something they almost never do. So, yeah, it's kind of different in terms of like the hype build-up, and then people are already coming off Breath of the Wild. If Breath of the Wild wouldn't have been here, I think more people would have been hyped for Mario Odyssey. But you're getting like 2 pillars at the same time.
But I feel like it's a hard question to answer as well, because we haven't played Mario Odyssey beyond demos.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas Breath of the Wild, like we've spent a lot of time not just anticipating the game, but a lot of time playing the game, right?
Yeah.
And so we really have a good feel of it, and we know what its strengths are, and we know that it deserves this Game of the Year thing. But we haven't had that time with Mario Odyssey to get a sense of it. And if it can make me like it more than Breath of the Wild, amazing Game of the Year for sure. But like, who knows? We haven't played it.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So I actually have a quick question for you before we stop.
Okay.
So we talked about how this year, like, the two pillars got released, right? Breath of the Wild is the Zelda game that came out, Mario Odyssey came out, and a Metroid game got released this year too.
Mario Kart as
well.
That's the first time,
and it's so good.
That's the first time that's happened in like 10 years, over
Even
10
more
years,
than
right?
that, on the Wii U, two of the biggest games was Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon. And they were like two of the best-selling games on the Wii U. Those came out as well this year. You got the deluxe version and then the sequel. So it's like you don't just get those three, you get 5 huge games.
So like
from
all
Nintendo.
these huge IPs are like, okay, we're giving you your game. What's the one IP that next Nintendo Direct or whatever that you want to be at the end saying, guess what, this is coming out for the Switch?
Oh
well,
my
the
goodness.
one everyone can look forward to is the Metroid game, Metroid Prime 4.
Prime 4, yeah?
But
right,
then
unannounced though, because they already talked about that.
Yeah,
What's the new one that they're going to be like, this is the big announcement at the end of our Nintendo Direct, and this.
They talked about.
I already have mine, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
They talked about Metroid, and they talked about Pokemon. So it has to be something besides those.
Yep.
Oh, but it can't be Yoshi or Kirby either. So all my bases are covered already. Like all the games that I'm looking forward to. I wanted to see like the next Yoshi game. I was actually really looking forward to that. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's just Yoshi's Woolly World again." And I was like, "Screw you! I love Yoshi's Woolly World a lot. That game's amazing. The level design, so that was another one that I was really looking forward to. So I can't use that answer now. I'm hooped." Jesse, you look deep in thought here. What are you thinking?
Well, my dream Nintendo game has always been a Kingdom Hearts style game, but with Nintendo characters. Like instead of going to Aladdin's World or wherever, you're going to Mushroom Kingdom, you're going to Hyrule. But that'll never happen.
So like Hyrule Warriors, but all Nintendo.
Yeah, so
that would be really cool.
That'll never happen though. So
no.
I would say I would really, really love like an HD 2D style Zelda game, like a Link Between Worlds or a Link to the Past style Zelda game for the Switch. That's really all that I can think of, because it's like another Donkey Kong Country would be really cool.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. Okay, that's the answer. That's the one. Donkey Kong Country. Because I'm taking it because I don't know what it is. I've been craving Tropical Freeze lately. Yeah. I've been like, I need to play it, and I haven't had the time.
I was thinking, like, as fun as Odyssey is going to be, there's going to be a lot of people wanting a 2D Mario experience. And then Donkey Kong basically is a 2D Mario with a palette swap. So... yeah, just give us...
Well, careful there. Because Donkey Kong... The thing with Donkey Kong is what sets it apart is it's brutal. Like, those Donkey Kong Country games are way harder than Mario games. And I love that. But, you know, we can fight about that later.
So, I'm going to say 2D Zelda is mine.
All right. I was hoping for a different IP, but I'll take 2D Zelda. We'll let you get away with it.
Alright, what's yours then, Yellow?
So I'm gonna go with the easy route and say Animal Crossing. I was hoping for Animal Crossing last Direct, and
didn't even think of it.
They didn't even mention it. And I was like, "When's my Animal Crossing?" I'm
and
so wrong.
They have all those Animal Crossing amiibo already.
I know.
Yeah.
And they could just use it. It's been too long. I played the 3DS one. You know, talk about a game you put 300 hours into.
Did you see the Nintendo? Wait, did she?
Did we just lose? Oh no, you're back. There you go.
I was gonna ask, did you see the Nintendo Direct that was all about Animal Crossing, where it was like the people dressed up and they were like at the camp playing guitar and everything? It was last year, I believe. It was a really fun Nintendo Direct that they had where they announced like the Link costume and stuff in Animal Crossing. It was really cool.
Yeah,
like,
they had
if they
like
did
an
something
update.
like that again. Yeah, if they did something like that again, but for the Switch, and it was like a New Leaf 2 or just a completely different Animal Crossing game, that would be really awesome. Because I feel that's another perfect game that you could play it on the big TV, or you could take it on the go. And then with everybody having a Switch, like going to different towns would be awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I want, and if they don't come out with it next year, I'm gonna cry. But hopefully they will.
All right, and do you have any final thoughts, Daniel, about the game? You said Donkey Kong, or
yeah, I love. Okay, Donkey Kong Country is amazing. Like the music, the gameplay, the team up mechanics. It's just, I love it.
Where you switch between Donkey Kong and Diddy.
There's in Returns and Tropical Freeze, they're more like power ups than like a second character, right? So like Dixie Kong or Bust. I don't care what anyone says. Dixie Kong is the best Kong, but. Yeah, no, I'd love to see another, whatever Retro is working on.
All right.
If they are doing Donkey Kong Country again still, then show me. Give it to me.
Yeah.
I want to give you my money.
Well, this brings us to the end of our podcast. The Hylian Gamecast. Yeah, that's it. Almost forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that name, in case anyone's wondering, was basically I wanted something that was a reference to Zelda without it just having Zelda in the name, so I thought Hylian would be good, and then Gamescast would give everybody a clear idea what it was about. So whether or not you knew Zelda was a Hylian reference, you would still get that it was about games. So that's basically the origin of the name of the podcast. But thank you, Daniel, once again for co-hosting with me. And thank you
for co-hosting with me, Jesse.
YellowKillerBee, thank you for answering a random email from a random stranger about coming on a random podcast. You said you had to like clear it with Nintendo first before you could come on. You didn't want to break any rules.
I just didn't know, like, because they, like I had said, they're very big on their secrecy, and so I didn't know, because I had signed the NDA beforehand, like, when that expired.
Yeah.
I'm assuming when the event was done, like, I could talk about anything regarding the event, but I just wanted to double check, because obviously they were very kind to, like, have me come to their event. Kind of like Daniel was talking about, you know, they're kind enough to send you games, or they're kind enough to, you know, to include you in this whole process, and you don't want to, like, turn around and, you know, kick them in the shins by, you know, saying stuff that they wouldn't want you to share or whatever. So I just was trying to be, like, respectful of the fact that they gave me this big opportunity, and I wanted to make sure that I cleared it with them first.
Yeah, I had a similar situation whenever I messaged Daniel. I was, because they only send the one copy of the game for review, and I was going to send it to Daniel for helping out on the channel. And I was like, can I send it to him? Like, is it just for me? What does the contract say? So, thankfully, I was able to, and thankfully you were able to come on for the podcast. So thank you, and for everyone that's been watching that may not exactly know who you are or where to find you, where can they find you?
Well, sure. It's really easy. My name's really long, but that means it's the same everywhere. So it's YellowKillerBee, and you can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, and then I actually have a website. So if you go to www.yellowkillerbee.com, you can find me there too.
And do you have a Patreon?
I don't have a Patreon.
No, you should make one.
Well, now that I'm affiliate with Twitch, people can support me directly through Twitch, and so I've just been doing that. But really, to be honest, like, because, like I said before, Twitch is just one small part of my life. It's not really been as much about the money making part as it is about the, like, just hobby and having fun part. So I've been very, very lucky to be able to manage to hold down a job and do this at the same time.
Yeah, I've been lucky to find Daniel because he has a full-time job. With me, YouTube, as I've been lucky enough for it to be my full-time job. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Thankfully, Daniel, who already had a full-time job, was able to come on and help me out. And for everyone watching, he also helps out with a few other places: the Chamber of Sages YouTube, Nintendo Prime's YouTube, used to be Zelda Informer's YouTube channel, and a lot of the videos on my channel, as well as this podcast. So, YellowKillerBee, once again, what can people find on your Twitch if they went there to watch your stuff?
Oh, sure. Well, we just have a happy, positive, family-friendly environment. I do a lot of speedrunning. So I speedrun some Mario games, some Disney games. I'm actually thinking of picking up DuckTales 1 and 2 for the Nintendo. So if you like really old retro games, we'll be playing some
Was that not what you were playing whenever I was watching yesterday? Were you not playing DuckTales?
I actually played both I played DuckTales 2, Chip 'n Dale 1 and 2. They're all kind of on the list of games I'd like to learn eventually, so some of those old NES games are really, really fun. And then I'll do some casual stuff too, so like when Mario Odyssey comes out, I'll definitely be doing a playthrough of that whenever I can get my hands on it. So yeah, because it's just kind of fun to mix it up with some casual stuff in with the speedrunning, especially when something new is coming out that I really can't wait to play.
Alright, and do you have a Discord as well that people could join?
I do have a Discord, and I don't know how you link to it, but
I'll put all the links in the description below.
Yeah, so you can come and say hi to my Discord, and we talk about speedrunning, but also a ton of other things too. We have a recipes channel, which is very, very robust. People are always posting in, so yeah, it's just fun. It's fun to have a little community of people that all kind of like the same things and want to chat over things. So.
Alright, well, thank you once again for coming on, and I apologize for taking up too much of your time. I know at first we said like 45 minutes or whatever,
We're
but
good.
sometimes you get a guest that could, because of podcasts I've been on before, I've seen guests who have like a quick 30-second answer, and then they're just completely dead. And with you, thankfully, we've all been able to get along really well, and you've been really nice. Very informative on all of your Zelda, Mario, Nintendo knowledge. So I think we got a bit lucky having you as our first official guest. So thank you once again. And everyone who's interested, please go over, find her Twitter, YouTube. I think she froze on us.
Oh no!
Definitely did, but that's okay.
Alright, well,
I don't know if you guys can hear me anymore,
back.
but thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Oh no. Oh, she's back.
Am I back? Okay, I just wanted to say before my internet drops completely, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. I loved meeting you guys, and this was great. Let's do this again soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you for coming.
Yeah. Maybe here in a few weeks or sometime next month we can have you on. So thank you once again, and thank you everyone for watching and listening, and bye-bye.
Bye!
The videos on this channel are funded by supporters on Patreon like you. If you're a fan of this channel and would like to join on videos, receive shoutouts, watch videos early, have your questions answered, or have your topic discussed on our podcast, please consider supporting on Patreon for these and many other rewards for just $1. Shoutouts for this video includes Linkus the Triforce, Rusty Caulfield, Lovable Christie, Give Time 15, Shadow to Us, Robbie Morgan, and Lunarium. I want to thank all of you for everything you have done to help support this channel.